The reservation was for 7 p.m. at Canlis, Seattle's most exclusive restaurant perched on a hillside overlooking Lake Union. Victoria Ashford checked her Patek Philippe watch 6:47 p.m. 13 minutes early. As always, Mom, do we have to go to another fancy place? Ethan asked from the backseat of her black Mercedes S. At 12 years old, her son already had the weary tone of someone twice his age. It's your birthday dinner, sweetheart. I wanted somewhere special. Special would be pizza and a movie, like normal kids get. Victoria's chest tightened, but she kept her voice steady. You're not a normal kid. You're an Ashford. In the rearview mirror, she watched Ethan's face close off. That familiar shuddering she'd seen more and more lately. Victoria Ashford, founder and CEO of Ashford Innovations, worth $2.3 billion, according to Forbes, couldn't figure out how to reach her own son. The restaurant's valet took her keys. Inside, crystal chandeliers cast warm light over white tablecloths and couples dressed in evening wear. The motor D led them to a prime table by the window, Seattle's skyline glittering below. Your server will be right with you, Miss Ashford. Ethan stared at his phone, texting someone. Victoria reached across the table. Can you put that away? Just for dinner. Why? So we can sit in silence while you check your emails. The accusation stung because it was true. Victoria set her own phone face down on the table. You're right, no phones. Just us. Ethan looked skeptical but pocketed his device. They ordered filet mignon for her, salmon for Ethan, though he'd probably barely touch it. The silence between them felt heavy, oppressive. Victoria searched for something to say, some way to bridge the gap that had grown so wide. How's school? Fine. Your teacher said you're doing well in English. Yeah. Made any new friends? Not really. Each answer was a door closing. Victoria felt helpless, a feeling she despised. In boardrooms, she commanded respect. In negotiations, she never lost. But with her son, she was failing spectacularly. The appetizers arrived. That's when Victoria heard Ida Child's laughter, pure and uninhibited, cutting through the restaurant's refined atmosphere. She turned toward the sound. Near the kitchen entrance, at a small corner table usually reserved for staff meals, sat a man and a little girl. The girl couldn't have been more than 6, wearing a purple dress that had seen better days. The man wore khakis and a button-down shirt, clean but clearly not expensive. He was maybe 35, with dark hair and an easy smile as he watched his daughter color on the kids' menu with intense concentration. That's the chef, their server said, following Victoria's gaze. Marcus Rivera. He's eating with his daughter before the dinner rush. She comes every Thursday after her art class. Victoria watched as Marcus leaned over to admire his daughter's drawing, his expression full of such genuine delight that something in her chest cracked. The little girl was explaining something animatedly, her hands flying, and Marcus listened like she was sharing the secrets of the universe. Mom, you're staring. Victoria turned back to Ethan. Caught? Sorry, I just noticed that they're actually happy. Yeah, weird concept. The barb hit its mark. Victoria's hands clenched in her lap. Before she could respond, the little girl's voice carried across the restaurant. Daddy, look, it's a unicorn princess. That's the most beautiful unicorn princess I've ever seen. Mia, you always say that. Because it's always true. The easy affection between them was magnetic. Victoria couldn't stop watching. Marcus cut his daughter's chicken into smaller pieces without being asked. Mia took a bite, then offered one to her father from her own fork. He accepted it with exaggerated delight, making her giggle. When was the last time we laughed like that? Ethan's voice was quiet, but the hurt underneath was loud. Victoria's throat closed. Ethan, it's okay, Mom. I know you're busy, building empires and stuff. That's not fair, isn't it? Ethan pushed his salmon around his plate. Dad left because you chose work over family, and you're still making the same choice. The words were a knife between her ribs. Victoria opened her mouth, but nothing came out. What could she say? He wasn't wrong. Her ex-husband David had given her an ultimatum 3 years ago. The company or the family? She'd chosen the company, told herself she was securing their future, that success would make it all worthwhile. David had taken a job in London. Now Ethan spent holidays flying between continents, belonging nowhere completely. Across the restaurant, Marcus was helping Mia into her coat. They stood to leave, Mia's hand in her father's, both waving to the kitchen staff as they passed. The girl was chattering about her upcoming school play, and Marcus was promising he'd be in the front row. Something in Victoria broke. She stood abruptly. Excuse me for a moment. Mom, what are you doing? But Victoria was already moving, her Louboutins clicking across the hardwood floor. She caught Marcus and Mia near the door. Excuse me? Her voice sounded strange to her own ears. Uncertain? Marcus turned, surprised. Up close, she could see the tired lines around his eyes, the slight wear on his shirt collar, but his smile was genuine, reaching his eyes. Can I help you? Victoria's carefully prepared speech evaporated. She looked at Mia, then at Marcus, then back at her own son, sitting alone at their table, and suddenly she was speaking from somewhere raw and honest. I'm sorry to bother you. I watched you with your daughter, and I realized I don't know how to do that anymore. How to just be present with my son. The admission cost her, but she kept going. I'm Victoria Ashford. that's my son Ethan over there. It's his birthday, and I'm failing him. Marcus's expression softened. Mia tugged his hand. Daddy, she's sad. I know, baby. He looked at Victoria with unexpected understanding. Ms. Ashford, I'm Marcus Rivera. This is Mia. Hi, Mia said shyly. Are you a princess? You're dressed like one. Despite everything, Victoria smiled. No, sweetheart. Just a very busy mom who forgot how to have fun. You should learn again, Mia said with 6-year-old certainty. Fun is important. She's right, Marcus said. Listen, I don't usually do this, but you look like you could use some help. What if he paused, considering? What if you and your son joined us? There's an ice cream place down the street. Best Sundays in Seattle. No fancy tables, no pressure. Just ice cream. Victoria stared at him. You're inviting us for ice cream. Consider it a birthday present for your son, from someone who knows what it's like. His voice gentled. Mia's mom passed away 2 years ago. Cancer. I had to learn how to be both parents. And mostly I learned that kids don't need perfect. They need present. The words hit Victoria like a physical blow. Here was this man, this chef working long hours to support his daughter, who'd lost his wife and somehow still managed to show up fully for his child, while she, with all her resources and success, couldn't manage the same? I don't know what to say. Say yes, Mia insisted. Ice cream makes everything better. Victoria looked back at Ethan, who was watching this interaction with confused curiosity. Then she made a decision that went against every instinct she'd honed in 20 years of business. Okay, yes, ice cream. 10 minutes later, they were squeezed into a booth at Molly Moon's, a local ice cream shop with mismatched chairs and a line out the door. Ethan sat beside Victoria, looking bewildered. Mia bounced next to Marcus, already explaining the best flavors. You have to try the salted caramel, Mia told Ethan seriously. It's life-changing ice cream. Ethan's skepticism was clear, but there was a hint of amusement. Very life-changing, Mia insisted. They ordered salted caramel for Mia, mint chip for Marcus. And after Mia's enthusiastic recommendation, both Victoria and Ethan got the salted caramel too. In the crowded, noisy shop, something unexpected happened. The walls Victoria had spent years building began to crack. Marcus asked Ethan about school, really listening to his answers. Mia showed Ethan her favorite drawings on her tablet, oblivious to the fact that he was 6 years older and supposedly too cool for unicorns. Your drawings are actually pretty good, Ethan admitted, examining a picture of a dragon. Thanks. Do you like art? I used to. Haven't really done it in a while. Why not? The simple question hung in the air. Ethan looked at Victoria. Didn't seem important. Victoria felt the words like an indictment. Ethan, I didn't know you never asked. Marcus cleared his throat gently. You know what I've learned? Kids don't need us to be perfect. They need us to show up. Even if we mess up, even if we don't have all the answers. They just need to know we're trying. Easy to say when you're not running a billion-dollar company, Victoria said, then immediately regretted it. I'm sorry, that was true. Marcus didn't look offended. Yeah, I'm not running a company. I'm running a kitchen and raising a 6-year-old on a chef's salary, which means I can't afford the fancy school or the nice house or any of the things you probably take for granted. But Mia knows I love her. She knows she's my priority. That's worth more than money. Silence settled over the table. Mia broke it by offering Ethan a bite of her ice cream. Want to try? He accepted, and Victoria saw his face soften as he tasted it. That's really good. Told you like. As they ate, Marcus told stories about kitchen disasters, about Mia's adventures at school, about the time they tried to make pancakes and somehow ended up with batter on the ceiling. He spoke about his late wife, Alina, with love and sadness, but no bitterness. Mia chimed in with 6-year-old observations that were surprisingly wise. Victoria found herself laughing. Actually laughing, not the polite chuckle she used at business dinners. Real laughter that came from somewhere deep and forgotten. Ethan was laughing too, his phone forgotten in his pocket. His attention completely on Mia's animated storytelling about her school play where she was playing a tree. A tree is a very important role, Ethan said seriously. The forest depends on trees. That's what Daddy said. Mia beamed. As the evening wore on, Victoria watched Marcus with growing admiration. He was patient when Mia spilled ice cream on her dress, turning it into a joke instead of a scolding. He asked Ethan real questions and listened to real answers. He made terrible dad jokes that somehow were funny, and he looked at Victoria with none of the calculation she usually saw in people's eyes. No assessment of her net worth, no angle being played. Just genuine warmth and a hint of something else. Maybe, but tempered with caution. So, Victoria, Marcus said as Mia and Ethan compared drawings. What made a billionaire CEO stop a random chef in a restaurant? Victoria hesitated, then chose honesty. I saw you with Mia, and I realized you have something I've lost. You know how to be present. How to make ordinary moments magical. I've spent 12 years giving Ethan everything except what he actually needs, which is me, just me, without the distractions and the pressure, and the constant striving for more. Marcus nodded slowly. Alina used to say that time is the only currency that matters. You can't earn more of it, can't save it for later. You either spend it on what matters or you waste it on what doesn't. Your wife sounds like she was wise. His eyes met Victoria's. She also would have liked you, I think. She always said people who can admit they're wrong are the ones worth knowing. Across the table, Ethan was showing Mia something on his phone, a game. From the looks of it, Mia's delighted squeals made other customers smile. Your son is a good kid, Marcus observed. He is. Despite my best efforts to screw him up, you're being too hard on yourself. Am I? Victoria turned to face him fully. I chose quarterly earnings over school plays, board meetings over bedtime stories. I told myself I was building security for his future, but really, I was just hiding. It was easier to succeed at business than to risk failing at motherhood. The confession hung between them. Marcus didn't rush to reassure her or offer platitudes. He just listened, giving her the gift of being heard. It's not too late, he said finally. That's what I learned after Elena died. Every moment is a chance to choose differently, to show up, to try again. Is that what you did? I had to. Mia needed me too. So I quit my job at a Michelin-starred restaurant where I was working 80-hour weeks and took a job at Canlis with better hours and less prestige. Best decision I ever made. I get to tuck her in at night. I'm there when she wakes up. That's worth more than any star. Victoria absorbed this. You gave up your dream for her. I found a better dream. Being her dad? He smiled. Not saying it's easy. Some months I barely make rent. But Mia is happy. And that makes me happy. As they prepared to leave, Mia hugged Ethan goodbye. You should come to my school play. It's next Thursday. Ethan looked at Victoria uncertainly. Mom has board meetings on Thursdays. Before Victoria could speak, before she could fall into old patterns and make excuses, she heard herself say, I'll reschedule them. Ethan's eyes widened. Really? Really? She looked at Marcus. What time is the play? 2 o'clock. At Jefferson Elementary. We'll be there. Outside the ice cream shop, as they stood on the sidewalk preparing to part ways, Marcus pulled out his phone. Can I give you my number? In case you need directions, or, he paused, or if you want someone to talk to, someone who gets it. Victoria took his phone, entered her number, and handed it back. I'd like that. Their hands touched briefly. The connection was electric, unexpected. Marcus felt it too. She could see it, in the way his breath caught. Mom, Ethan said as they walked to the car, that was the best birthday dinner I've ever had. Better than so much better. They were real, you know. Not trying to impress anyone, just being themselves. In the car, driving home through Seattle's night streets, Ethan spoke again. Are we going to see them again? Would you like to? Yeah, Mia's cool. And Marcus, he's different from your usual friends. He actually listens. Victoria gripped the steering wheel, emotions warring inside her. Ethan, I'm sorry. For all the times I wasn't listening, for choosing work over you, for being so focused on success that I forgot what actually matters. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then, are you going to change? Or is this just birthday guilt talking? I'm going to try, really try. And if I mess up, I need you to tell me. Okay. His voice was small, hopeful. I'd like that. That night, Victoria stood in Ethan's doorway watching him sleep, something she hadn't done in years. His face was peaceful, younger than his 12 years. She'd missed so much, she realized. Had been so busy building an empire that she'd forgotten to build a life. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thanks for tonight. Mia won't stop talking about Ethan. You're braver than you think. Marcus. Victoria smiled, typing back. Thank you for showing me what I've been missing. See you at the play. Looking forward to it. She stared at those 3 words, feeling something unfamiliar flutter in her chest. Hope, maybe, or possibility, or the beginning of understanding that success wasn't measured in billions but in moments. In laughter, over ice cream, in showing up for school plays, in second chances offered by a single dad who understood that time was the only currency that mattered. Victoria Ashford, billionaire CEO, stood in her son's doorway and made a decision. Tomorrow, she'd call her board and announce she was stepping back from day-to-day operations. She'd hire a president to handle the hours she'd been working. She'd be home for dinner. She'd go to parent-teacher conferences. She'd learn to be present, and maybe, just maybe, she'd explore this unexpected connection with a chef whose late wife had taught him that life was too short to waste on anything that didn't matter. The unbelievable thing she'd done wasn't just stopping a stranger in a restaurant. It was choosing to change, to admit she'd been wrong, to be brave enough to ask for help from someone who had nothing she needed except everything that actually mattered, the wisdom to live fully, love deeply, and show up completely for the people who counted on you. As Victoria turned off the light, she whispered into the darkness. It's not too late. Every moment is a chance to choose differently. Tomorrow, she'd start choosing better. And this time, she wouldn't be alone.